Good afternoon. It's Saturday, 3 p.m. again. And on Tuesday, we talked about tariff tax. And during that webinar, and we alluded to today's webinar, which is to talk about how to preserve your wealth or even growing your wealth during the great meltdown. And, it is in everyone's mind today and about how you're going to continue to work on your business and the money you made from the past, how you are going to preserve it. So with the market the way it is, with the policy the way it is, so on the macro economy is determined by White House, right? Some people call that Trump recession. Some people call it the policy dictates everything. Of course, economic is dictated by policies. That we all know. And a lot of times, free economy kind of alluded to the fact that the government would put in less constraints into the economy, let things flow. When there's more laborers and get more laborers, so you want the price and you want the product, you want human beings flow with the need. So that's a free economy. But at a certain time, government see the needs to make change. So that's how the macro economy start to lay out for people. That is not the way they see in the past. I am not a politician, by no means. What I knew is micro. And we talk about just right now in our hand with our $10, and what do you do to preserve that $10 or maybe even grow the $10 during the economic time that's volatile, unstable, and meltdown or recession or depression, any word you can use about today, right? So with that said, let's go ahead to let me give you my time to share with you things that I think you should do right now as a small business owners. Why am I able to talk or guide a small business owners? Because we have been in business for the past 28 years. And before that, we were in business in Canada. Then we are here in U.S. for 25 years. So we understand small business because you were my client, you are my client, you will be my client. Okay, this is our website, communitycpa.com, and you can visit our website to know us more. And on the website, you have a button called Onboard with Us. You can onboard with us, get our service without calling us. Just go on, put in your files, create your own login, and it is a secure portal that we open for you. So you can dialogue with us right there, give us a note, then we reach out back to you so you become our client. Even if you just have this thought at midnight, you can still be onboarding with us. Of course, the appointment button right here that you see on the top, that's where you can see me, you can see the other partners and consult with us online. And all of our webinars are deposited back here after we are done. So you always can find what we were talking about before. Obviously time, right? Time mark is important. Information do expire. My prediction can be wrong, and there's no one on earth can predict everything 100%. We can always just relay back to our experience. But I want to say that our experience is very catered, very much related to the small, medium-sized businesses. If you talk to me about Elon Musk, Tesla, I don't get that, because that's a business big enough that they have their own team, they do their own things, but what we see is just the outside. I do have one slide to talk about Tesla. I want to give you that the past history of the company, so you kind of can make decision on the Tesla stock you have in your hand today. About our firm, I'm going to run this one really quickly. You already know about our firm quite a bit. And if you don't, check on the website and check on the YouTube channel. We have 5 different branches and about 40 professional serving in the company. And collectively, we speak 10 different languages. And this is the 2 books I wrote and already on Amazon. I am working on my 3rd one called Appointment with Ying at 2 p.m. And that original design for 2 p.m. is to talk about how to expand. So I am always writing the book based on the journey of community CPA. That is my foundation. Then I add the other clients' information experience. So the book is about stories. And this 2 p.m. book, it is becoming a long labor process, and you can tell that the economy is not going with what we are thinking. There's so much unknown. So I feel like the 2 p.m. not only about expanding, can also be about surviving. That 10 a.m. we talked a little bit about surviving because that's a pandemic time. So now we have the 2 p.m. and it going into great meltdown. With that said, let's make this no responsibility disclaimer so you don't rely on my words without your own responsibility put in there. And obviously, knowledge is free. I give to you what I know, but you are the one responsible for taking in what knowledge you're taking in of internet. And at our firm, we serve our client. If you become our client, and we will dedicate our brain to you, so to make you do well, do better, and come through this special time differently than majority of the small business or medium-sized business owners. All right, let's understand the current economic climate. To state that really generally it is unstable, right? Because the White House is cranking out interference to economy and on the minute basis, with executive orders, so they come through fast. They do not come through Congress, so there's no approval needed. It's just the president and his core cabinet, and they decide on what they want to do, what they believe. Obviously, they're operating on their experiences as well. So everyone is behaving on top of their past experience. And we have to literally understand that and respect that, because people won't understand what you are understanding because their background is different than you. But for me, speaking right here, my background is the same as you because I gather small, medium-sized business owners, and we're talking about today's economy. Unstable, unpredictable, and it's in the mixed bag between recession and the depression that is coming down the pipeline. Not me predicting, Goldman Sachs predicting, Warren Buffett predicting, all the big boys and the big organizations and the big corporations are predicting. And you just saw the news, and the Ford is moving a part of their factory line out of U.S. And so there a lot going on. And for that, we say that, I call it great meltdown. It's just that I'm capturing whether it is recession or depression. Recession takes longer time. Depression is going to be, recession takes shorter time, and depression takes longer time. So, 1930, and we, U.S. experienced depression. Obviously, I wasn't on Earth yet at that time, but this depression has a really interesting story that I learned when I was in the elementary school back in Beijing and in China. So I'll tell you that story. I'll tell you that story. The depression they have in U.S. causing the farmer to pour milk into the sea while you have homeless people starving to death. So that is a picture when we were kids in school, we were giving to talk about the how bad the capitalism is. At that time, I don't understand that. I remember I asked my parents why there's so much milk poured in the sea, not giving to the poor people. Why is that? And what I don't understand is the milk was exported to other country, but the tariff tax by President Hoover stopped that. And he put on tariff tax, so the other country put a reciprocal tariff tax as well. And then the milk stopped at the sea and don't go anywhere and are rotten. So for that reason, it's all poured into the sea. Yes, there's people needing milk and don't have milk. So that explains, right? After I become a U.S. citizen, after I learned economy here, after I dealt with 12,000 small business owners, I learned why that happens. So we are looking at history and reflecting to today. And we want to tell our small business owners that your job today, it is not about impacting macroeconomy, and you don't have that job description, and you are incapable of doing that. Don't try to imagine yourself you are dissatisfied and you're doing things can make macroeconomy to change. No, it is coming with a history. There's a reason why President Trump was elected to be a president. Okay, that election wasn't stolen. American people voted President Trump. So what we're experiencing is part of the history, and you don't try to impact macroeconomy. What you can do is micro. You can do it on the small scale. We are talking about that today. Preserve wealth and grow wealth even. Okay, stay in business is the best way to grow wealth and preserve wealth. So you stay in business, whatever business you're doing, do everything you can to stay. Because if you can stay, and when the economy gets better, and you will rise and faster than the one who can actually restart. Measure your existing investment. Yeah, measure it up and down and left and right. Are you putting your stock in the industry that's gonna last? And are you impacted by Tesla's stock drop because you invested everything in Tesla stock? And you need to re-examine that. So Tesla stock is very special. And it is not just about car. It is about political positions. It's about Dodge, how that diminished all these governmental functions. So it is political. Because it is political, so it is hard to predict from economical standpoint. And you can take a risk, hold it, and you can also, with your own political experience, maybe you don't want to hold it. So it is not driven by how that car does. It's driven by how that figure, how that person operates as the top head of Tesla, right? So it is really a place where we want to be objective, ladies and gentlemen. You can, when you are trying to do business, and you really need to grow your objective muscles so you don't easily fall through emotional approach. There's no emotional approach needed in business. You just need to figure out and whether your existing investment makes sense to you. Are you investing in the business that is going to last out of this big meltdown? And assist your communities around your business. This is very important when we go through hard times, because you survive around people that in your town and in your county, in your state. Invest in more time with people in your community. You know what? Because they are the one gonna keep you going, keep you afloat. I know we can do a lot of business on internet. I know, and we even have clients we never met. We just do online consultation and online work, and we meet regularly. But still, to survive, and community CPA need to round up all the communities around the office locations. Same with you. You need to round up your community and know where you are. If you work remotely, then round up your neighbors. So really be more friendly and spread some love in the hard time. That is ultra important, mega important. Okay? Establish a new tax structure to grow your wealth tax-free. I want to put that in here because we can help you to do that. But you need to understand that in this kind of time, and you want to preserve. So if you don't have to pay taxes, you don't have to pay. You want to save your taxes, reinvest into your business, and do everything you can and set up new tax structure. So if you ask me, oh, Ying, do you have a way to do that? Absolutely. And I want you to know your CPAs, your attorneys, people who manage your money, and they would even come up with ideas that you could use to save taxes, to preserve your wealth without paying more taxes, right? All right. So diversify your investment. I touched on that, and you want to look at your existing ones. So, when I say diversify investment, I am, of course, is this stocks and bonds and real estate. People talk about that. But what I want to emphasize in this particular time is about diversifying globally. And you don't just keep all the stocks here in U.S. You need to look at your neighbors. Mexico, great place to invest, in my opinion. Canada, great place to invest. And then the other countries out of other continents, like China and like Asia countries, Africa, and just really learn your diversity doesn't mean about just here in U.S. Your diversity is global because the economy is no longer can be operated by closing doors. I grew up in the closing doors environment there in China, right? So we closed the door to the West, and everyone already got into industrial age, and China was still everything manual. They did not grow at that time. What happens when the door opens? Look at today's China. It's different than the time in the 60s, 70s when I grew up. It's very different. By closing doors just means that the technology, the advancement, everything you do is based on the people on this land. There is no intelligence exchange. There is no high-profile individuals with scientific background, like the Visa, all type of scientists coming to U.S. to fuel this economy, to fuel innovation. If we close doors, we don't have that. Because we are closing doors right now, so what we want to do is, the world doesn't close on the cloud. So far, it's not closed. So you can always invest globally. For, here at home, you can invest globally. That is the diversified investment we are talking about. We want to talk about the stocks because almost everybody has some stocks, and you want to know which company can survive. I know a lot of times our folks, small business owners, when we go onto the exchange platform and we buy stocks, we hear our neighbor says this, we hear our brother-in-law says that, so we just go buy. We don't do our own research. This is why that you should line yourself up with a professional financial advisor. By the way, I am not licensed for providing financial investment advices to people, but I'm giving you my experience, all right? So you need to get hold of financial planners who are trained to know what kind of stock, because they study the balance sheet. And they know whether they are essential services or not. And they also understand whether the company has consistent demand. Because of that, they say, oh, you buy this stock, you buy that stock. So making sure that you invest in the company and based on your understanding, that can survive the big meltdown, okay? If company making you head spin, you don't get it, then don't buy. That's really not something you should do if that is not something you can digest. At our firm, when we do tax planning, we actually do not plan the taxes to the degree that my clients sit there goes, oh, Ying, I don't understand what you're doing, but I trust you. So do whatever you do, and I am okay. That is where we stop to implement anything too complex. So maybe they shouldn't have any living trust because they're not there. Maybe they should not know anything about a nonprofit organization. They just don't get it, right? So we cater the understanding what we do to the client. So what client understand, it is how far we go, because at the end of the day, we need client to know that they are responsible to understand what they're doing on their tax return, right? So with that said, and you want to make sure that, and you dialogue with your financial planner, and you give them your desire so they can cater their approach for you. And we also, Crystal is is affiliated with our firm, and she is a financial planner, and her company is called the CCPA Wealth Division, and the Community CPA are working with her hands in hand. So we're actually sister companies, and we support her. So if you have any questions, we can also direct you to her and her team. All right, examples of resilient companies, and I gave you a couple of those ones because these are public traded company, and they were great during the last recession. And remember, we had a recession in 2008 and 2010. And at those times, these companies came through just fine. And Amazon and Netflix. So Amazon actually grew, by 17, added 17 million customers during those times. So, the point to say is that there are resilient companies, and you can purchase stock, and so you can still go forward with your investment, even during this time. Tesla. During 2008, 2010, Tesla faced significant challenges. And, those are the time Elon was sleeping on the factory floors and really struggled with, how to pull out this product. But U.S. Department of Energy in 2010 provided $465 million loan to Elon Musk, okay? So talk about government assistance, and here we see that. So with the government assistance, and that helped the company to continue its operation and continue development. And during the COVID time, that's another downturn, right? Tesla stock went down just briefly and quickly round up. So quickly came up. So Tesla reported record delivers and profit in 2020 and 2021, driven very strong demand on the electric vehicles, and very successful in expansion, right? Right now, the situation is different. Their recent declining on Tesla stock value the fluctuation goes from $488 some dollars down to $138, right? So if we take politics aside, when the Tesla stock goes down 138, probably is a good time to buy, right? And if it goes up, it goes up to 488, then right there you are already making $350 on every stock, right? So those are, stock traders, your financial planners are really doing that job, but obviously, you hear Elon Musk asking all of his employees to hold the stock, and he can't afford everybody dumping stock. But obviously, Canada has frozen 43 million in Tesla's EV rebate. Okay, and also Tesla has a sales drop in many key markets, including China, including Europe, right? So this is all due to Elon Musk, the CEO, getting involved with politics, international politics. And this is probably why you don't see a lot of big entrepreneurs are really seeking for government positions. So Elon Musk, as a co-president, and has done all of these reform to the government body. And as you know, history needs to be judged by people that out of that period. I don't think I have right or I have that intelligence to really judge what is right, what Elon Musk doing is right or wrong. I just know that him and President Trump and literally like co-presidents, so they are doing surgeries to the body of government and wanting it to be efficient. Does that do that? I do not know. Time will tell. So right now, but for that, their stock dropping, not because Tesla is not good, it is because the CEO of Tesla is doing things that majority of the Americans who voted them don't understand it. All right. Saving cash will cause losing money. So my advice is that right now, as a small business owner, if you got a bunch of money under your mattress and in your bank doing nothing, and right now it is the time that not to put that there, because inflation is coming through and you're going to lose your cash buying power. You use money to buy things, am I right? And you are losing that power because material going to come up and things will go bad. Even President Trump said that, yes, in the short term it's going to go bad. He did not deny. And the inflation will be here, and the depression will be here. And he said that is short term. So what is short term? And you remember when you are 20 years old, when you are in your 20s, short term means 2 months. But when you are in your 40s, short term means 2 years. But when you get into your 80s, short term could be 20 years. I mean, the short term out of anybody's mouth is related to how long they live. So if President Trump says short term, I would give it a very good 10 years. And it's just logical. And with 10 years being that way, oh yes, you need to spend your money. Spend it, smartly. And I give you some example here and tell you that it not worth of keeping cash and try to, buying CD, I don't know. If you can find a CD pays you 8%, that would be probably okay. And if you got a 4% CD, the inflation gonna go catch up, so you're not making anything. All right, so to counter that, you don't want to keep cash and you want to buy, so you may ask me that, what's in your opinion the best thing to buy? I mean, again, I do this disclaimer again and again. I'm not a financial planner, and I am actually I am a CEO and a managing partner of Community CPA, and we have over 12,000 clients. And my whole life, I have no other hobbies and no other jobs, and this is my only thing I do, just tax, accounting, audit. That's my whole life. I can't even claim I am the best mother of the world because I don't think I did all the things mothers should do. So with that said, I have my whole life in this industry. So my advice is my opinion. It is my experience. So with that said, I hope you get you get some out of a personality like me and know that what you should do, right? So invest in things, in stock that the company gonna last, or you predict the company gonna last. And invest in real estate and to buy land, to buy farmland, actually is the best option. Not buildings, not little houses, because with this great deportation going on, a lot of rental properties are underwater. Depends on which area your rental property is at. If it is saturated with laborers, with a non-documented labor force somewhere, then your rental property gonna have issue. And now you heard that President Trump is sending refugees back to their country, and imagine those refugees where they live right now. The place they live, that landlord will lose all of the rent at once. So rental property, I'm not sure about that for right now. And of course, you can buy gold, silver to keep the value, and you can buy farmland to keep the value. And you can also buy Treasury inflation-protected securities if you have super confidence in the government, and this is one that you can buy it from Treasury Direct. Like as an individual, you can go to Treasury Direct to buy that, because this bond, this security, supposedly to against inflation. So that would be, that would be something. If you want a safe investment, not to make $1 million, but just to preserve the value against inflation, that would be a good one. You can also buy it from your financial planners. I'm not sure about banks, but I know financial planners would carry it, or you can buy it online. In short, they call that TIPS, like Treasury Inflation Protected Securities, TIPS. All right. Buy property, land acquisition, I talked about that. And I also talked about investing in real estate, but rental property, I am not, I felt like I'm not certain. I want you to be mindful of what I said, knowing the area you're in, and buy that carefully, right? Then the other thing I want to mention to you is to buy cryptocurrency. I know. In my previous talks, and I never really gone through cryptocurrencies, I never ever told anyone to buy cryptocurrency on this platform. And I did with my clients, because of the people they deal with, I have advised our client not to buy, and then it's proving to be correct, because my client was going to buy for $120,000 after I say not to buy, so he only bought $35,000. Then the following year lost all of it. So, but it's the smaller loss than $120,000, so it is still good. And now I say to you that buy cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrencies is like the Bitcoin, right? Operate independently of the central banks and the governments, okay? And because of that, they make themselves a lot more stable when the economy was manipulated too hardly by the government. So their fluctuation on their stock price is actually reflected on their currency usage, on their currency application, demand, and the needs. But it's not so directly related to like U.S. dollars. Of course, there's they're fixed coins and they actually pack with U.S. dollars, but I am talking about Bitcoin, right? And limited supply, that's the key for Bitcoin. And it's a fixed supply of 21 million coins in the Bitcoin, and which created the scarcity, so you can't really create more. So because of that, so a demand for a Bitcoin increase, and with the limited supply, so your price goes up, right? If your supply is fixed, but more people wanting to buy, of course it goes up. And the Bitcoin price in 2009 was a couple cents, but now is what? $90,000. Okay, so it did go up. And the benefit of this coin is the global accessibility. So easy to do international trade. So convenient to pay for pay service and the product with cryptocurrencies. So Bitcoin is one of the things that if you ask me today whether to get involved with virtual currencies, and I would say that as long as the supplies are limited, So they're not just going there creating more and more supplies, coins. And like Bitcoin is fixed on the $21 million coins. So those are the measures you want to understand it before you purchase, right? Evaluating the digital asset, high potential returns that already really there. So in 2025, Bitcoin is selling 90,000, but it was a few cents back then. Lower transaction fees, of course, needless to say. The coins itself, on the con side, pros, of course, you have that, and on the con side is the price fluctuation. But again, I want you to understand that with our U.S. dollars, that is traded, that is used globally. So it is very much impacted by the global economy. If the U.S. government, who actually responsible for printing that currency, have no gauges and it just prints, okay? And then that would devalue the currency. And we will be shifted from U.S. currency as the center of exchange, now maybe become some other currencies, become yen, It is already that way in many other continents. People are trading with Chinese currency. So the Bitcoin doesn't have that kind of character. It is international. It is international currency. So with that said, that's the benefit of it, right? Benefit of it. And with that, you also have, of course, Bitcoin is here in United States. And the regulatory is uncertain. Regulatory boundaries was always has been developing, but it was never really matured, never really set. I know President Trump is advocating for digital asset, so I am thinking that in his time, the regulatory side of virtual currency would be on a positive, easy going, and a supportive side, right? And the security concern, of course, that's an everyday people's concern. And I do have clients who lost it because they lost their wallet code or whatever. So yeah, security is on the at your level, of course. The Bitcoin company, the company who controls the 21 million coins, they are the one making sure that the security is there as well. And other strategies to consider during this big meltdown, and keep your money liquid. And means that it's not a bad idea to put some cash under your mattress, so when the roof fell down and you can just grab it and run, right? So that is not a bad idea. And avoid high interest debt. Just so stop borrowing money, and that gives you 10%, 16%, 20% of rate. Just stop doing that. And during this time, during this big meltdown time, and people should not borrow. And you should try not to borrow because the interest is high, period, right? The final thoughts on the strategy to leverage economic challenge, take action. So you hear me talking, so you are going home to look at your bank balance. You are going home to look at the investment you have and making a phone call to your financial planner, okay? And looking around and see whether there's any land, properties that you want to buy and you have the cash for, and that's one of the best way to stabilize the inflation damage on your dollar amount. Because those assets, they will accumulate money, they will accumulate value. And of course, I'm not talking about you buy it today and you sell tomorrow, right? You're gonna buy it today, you sell it when Trump is no longer the president of the United States. So that's kind of the time you wanted to wait. Obviously there's rumors on the internet saying that he is not going to run election and, things going to go on forever. And then maybe you just buy the property, hold it forever, I'm just going to give you a reference. So nobody knows what's happening. There's too much news on the internet. So with us, remember, as a small business owners, and you don't have direct line to President Trump, so forget to dream about that. And you just want to focus on macroeconomy. Macro. M-I-C-R-O. Not macro. Right? Leave that with somebody else. And you're not in that business. All right. Two more slides. Number one, companies started during the Great Depression. I want to say this to you because every economic readjustment, realignment, it's just like right now we're doing. There will be company come through very successfully. Hy-Vee. Do you know Hy-Vee? Hy-Vee began as a small grocery store in Iowa and focused on low price, good service, eventually expanded to a chain of 225 supermarkets. They started during the Depression time. Dollar General started during Depression time. Ocean Spray cranberries, you go to grocery store, their logo, Ocean Spray logo, cranberries, they formed a cooperative by cranberry growers to pool resources and survive the falling economy at the time. They survived. They started at that time. You see? When there is a economical realignment, like right now, you will find a business rising above the ground and thriving. Thriving. Okay? So what about companies that thrived during Great Depression? They're already there, but they did even better. Procter & Gamble increased sales by innovating advertising strategies, including creating radio soap operas to appeal to the homemakers. So they start telling stories on their advertising. So they thrived during that time. Chrysler expanded market share significantly during that time. E.G. Gallo and the Winery, this one is established, okay, and thrived, offering affordable wine. Who doesn't drink when it's so depressing? Affordable wine. They grow, thrived. The largest winemaker, the world's largest winemaker. All right? So, a lot of hope, right, folks? You got what I'm saying. So, this is our partners in our firm. And you can obviously book my time. I'll come to talk to you. And when you book my time here, you do end up paying for a fee, but it's worth it. Here, YouTube channel, and you can always get free webinars from us here. And we will put this one here too. And it is a difficult subject to talk about, but I think I made it, right? I'm giving you what I think is right, and I'm giving you the disclaimer all over the place to tell you that you don't have to listen to me, but you can be influenced by me. And if I can do that, I'm already successful. All right. This is the last piece of slides, just to give you our contact information if you want me to talk about any subject. In the next week, I'll be diving into cryptocurrencies from what they are all the way to how tax treatment is. So just get you familiar with that path. And I know people are a little, struggle with, things that are new. So, you got your new phone, you got your new iPhone, and you learn tricks on there. So same thing. So we're going to talk about cryptocurrency because I want people to start looking at investing in that. and also how tax come through to report that. Then we also have this tax strategy, right? So how do we get through this time, and also paying less taxes? Of course, if you lose money in your business, you'll be paying less taxes, naturally. But what if you are doing okay and putting in necessary structure to get yourself lean with taxes? See, IRS wanting you to pay taxes, but IRS never told you to pay tips. So don't try to be so nice, because there's no recognition of that. You just want to do it right, but doesn't need to pay tips. And our job is to make sure you don't pay IRS tips, but you can pay it to community CPA. That's a welcoming gesture. So we will talk to you again related to today's most important topics. Bye-bye.